More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, light, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. Let's face it, Purdy Insurance does a great job of making sure you're fully covered, but they also do a great job with their customer service of making sure they save you money. It is all at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Joined by the outstanding Rob King. Rob, first of all, before we get into Mike Lange, congratulations to you on an outstanding opening season with the Steelers. I know it ended far sooner than you wanted it to, but you and the crew were great.
Steve, thank you very much. It was a great first year for me personally. I had so much fun doing it, and I'm on my way actually right now to the combines to see if get a look at some of these guys the Steelers might be drafting to hopefully. I think they're closer than they were a year ago, and maybe they can close the gap between themselves and the top teams with one more good off season.
Yeah, and look, the Combine is one-stop shopping. It's a great place to go. And I don't know, when you've talked to the Steelers, Rob, have you felt like the interview process was just as important, if not even more important, than some of the on-field stuff we see?
I do think that that's the case, Steve. I think that they're looking for their type of guys. Mike Tomlin always says, I'd rather say whoa than sick 'em. I want somebody that is chomping at the bit to play hard, physical Steelers football. And they've seen all of these guys on tape. It's not like they're thumbing through the roster of players and saying, "Hey, who's this guy from Texas A&M?" They've got a scouting report on all of these guys. So yeah, I think that part of the process certainly. There's some things that come with competing. Some guys want to. They want to run the fastest 40 time. They want to run the fastest 3-cone drill time and all these other things. So maybe, you're looking for little things like, hey, is a competitive fire coming out even in this setting? But I think that all leads back to your point, which is that I think that interview process is really important in the evaluation process of these players.
Yeah, the biggest problem I've had with the interview process over the years is there's a lot of really good people that want to just get good, pertinent information. But you and I who do this for a living, Rob, you and I both know there are a few people out there that when they're asking questions, they're not good at it. So,
Right.
I want to ask you now about the great Mike Lange, because all that work that you did on TV all those years, and Mike was an important part of that for many, many years. What did you learn about the business being around Mike and then also just observing Mike?
Well, I think, Mike, and I've talked about this a lot with young students, and it probably wouldn't be the first thing I think of when I think of Mike Lange. I think we think of, what an outstanding broadcaster he was. But Mike showed up. Mike did the work. Mike was at every morning skate. Mike was not only at every morning skate, he was paying attention at every morning skate, preparing himself throughout the day to be ready for the broadcast. So, that level of preparation, and Steve, you know this as a great broadcaster yourself, it can't be faked. You have to put in the work. I tell that to students or young people in broadcasting. all the time. If you don't want to put in the work, you're in the wrong business. You have to put in the work. And Mike Lange, just observing him, he put in the work. And that was, that's the bedrock of being a passable announcer or a good announcer, or in the case of Mike Lange, a great top-of-the-scale announcer. You can't fake that. You have to do it, and Mike Lange definitely did it.
Yeah, because here you are, you're driving to the combine. Why? Because it's going to make you better at the job. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., Penn State's having its first winter workout, and guess who's showing up? I mean, because I know I need to be better at this job. I told my class this morning, you need talent, no question, but you need to out-hustle people. You got to hustle all the time. It's all the work people don't see.
Yeah, and I think that most of us who are in the business, and if you reach any level of success in the business, chances are you'll like that part of it. That's we're talking about competitiveness and the 3-cone drill and running the 40s. Well, that's sort of that's what competitiveness looks like in our world. And doing that extra work and knowing that it's going to pay off and enjoying the process. Because the results will follow. I remember when I was a young Division III football player, a coach telling me, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And my thinking, well, that's a load of hooey. I want to get to the mountaintop. It's about the destination. Well, then you learn, sure, that the destination's the payoff. It really is. It really is true, even though it's a bit of a hackneyed phrase. It really is true that it's about the journey. And embracing that, and not only embracing it, but enjoying it is part of it. And I know Mike Lange enjoyed that part of it. He enjoyed talking to the players, going into the locker room, going to the morning skates, talking to the opposing team's announcers, showing up with his charts early, really, really watching warm-ups. I mean, warm-ups were not a time when he was having a cup of coffee and sitting back. Warm-up was the final bit of preparation. One of the things that I've learned from Mike Lange, that little bit is extremely valuable time. Those players get out on the ice. Those players get out on the basketball court. Those players get out on the field. That is the finishing school of that night's broadcast. So, and Mike did all of that stuff. So, you don't get to be great by accident. He's certainly singular. But he's also great, and Steve, I've told this to people, we all remember our favorite Mike Lange catchphrases. Yeah. And the way he talked about the game was different, and the way the phrases he used. But if he'd done none of that, he'd still be a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He was a great broadcaster who also brought unbelievable flair.
What I always thought, too, there's another element to it as well. He understood that there has to be a trust between the franchise and the announcer and a trust between the broadcaster and the fans. And he had great trust with the fans because he respected them so much.
I totally agree. And I think you're right. I think the players liked and trusted Mike Lange, and the organization did. And that's a large amount of trust to carry, because you have to be able to bring the fans have to trust you, right? And you're right, the fans absolutely unequivocally trusted Mike Lange, and I think that's a really good point, Steve. Really good point.
Yeah, and the way he treated fans with great respect. He always gave them time. Is that the Mike Lange you saw all the time that made sure that no matter how busy he was, that he wasn't too busy for somebody else?
Absolutely. Yeah, he was. Yes, he never forgot that. Another thing that maybe younger fans may not realize was that Mike Lange was. I mean, he was the entertainment for the Penguins when the team wasn't that entertaining. I mean, he was the guy that was the reason to tune in, and he never forgot that connection, that the fans were attracted to Mike Lange every bit as much as they were attracted to the Penguins in some of those early years because of the way he broadcast and because of that unique and singular style. And that connection that he had with the fans in the early days continued on through their greatness, and he never took it for granted. And the fans, I think, always remembered and appreciated that as well. And if you saw him out, he always had time for people. Everything about him, everything about his broadcasting lent itself to exactly what you're talking about.
There's another element, too, to this, because Mike did the games for 46 seasons. When the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles, many people felt like Vin Scully really taught Southern California fans about the nuances of baseball. I felt like Mike Lange, when he took over as the play-by-play guy, really taught the Pittsburgh fans and the Western Pennsylvania fans and West Virginia, Ohio, and so forth, the nuances of hockey because he cared that much about the game and he was that relatable to the fans. Do you think that's accurate?
Yes, and I absolutely 100% correct. And I think the relatability factor that you're talking about, that was something that was, born out of his style, certainly born out of the fact that, the team wasn't very good early on. But also, when you think about, for example, like a John Madden in football, John Madden could entertain you and teach you about the game. He would say things that sounded sometimes obvious, like, if a linebacker was blitzing and a running back was trying to pick him up, he would stop it and say, well, you have a big guy here and a little guy, and usually the big guy's going to run over the little guy, And instead of saying, well, the off-the-ball linebacker here on this inside blitz on the sixth move, all this other jargon, he just simplified it for you so that you could understand it. And Mike was able to do that. The hockey fans grew with Mike Lange and with the team. But, yes, he taught them because, Pittsburgh was a minor league hockey town. It was a good minor league hockey town. The Hornets were a championship caliber team when the Penguins became an expansion team. But, you could go to any Penguins game you wanted, anytime you wanted. You just had to drive down there and buy a ticket, as opposed to, this long stretch of sellouts that they had and all that stuff. So, it was important for fans to learn about the game. And now you think of Pittsburgh as a great hockey town. And part of that, obviously, probably the biggest part of that overall was Mario Lemieux. But the guy describing Mario Lemieux and the guy describing those teams before Mario and after Mario remained there, like you said, for 46 seasons, and is a big part of that hockey growth as well. And that's Mike Lange.
I don't know if you ever really had a chance to talk to Mike about this, but he was terrific on TV, awesome on radio. Did he have a preference as to the creating on radio versus the TV part? Did he have a preference?
My guess, I never did talk to him about this, but my guess is, I felt like, there was a time in which he was removed from the TV broadcast and went into radio, and I felt at that time that it was like a second wind for him in his career. Maybe that's too strong of a way to put it, but I just thought he was phenomenal on the radio, absolutely phenomenal. And he was obviously very, very good on TV too, but in radio you're painting that picture for somebody. And he also had an uncanny sixth sense to know when something was about to happen. And I really wanted to mention this because I can't think of too many, if any, broadcasters who had a better sense of this. So imagine you're in your garage and you're doing something, you got the game on, and you're listening, but you're right now you're looking for that one missing screw that you need to screw into the table upstairs, and your mind's kind of on that, and all of a sudden your mind's on the radio because Mike changed his inflection, he changed his tone. Look out now, and then all of a sudden you're forgetting all about the 3/8-inch screw that may or may not be in your hand, and you're listening to Mike Lange because he just had an unbelievable ability to sense when a big moment was coming. I've never heard anything like it. And so, that comes with, and, that was more prevalent on radio. I think of that as a radio type of thing. I'm sure he enjoyed both. As you know, Steve, they're very different. It's not exactly like two different jobs, but it's two different jobs. It's two jobs, one job done in two very, very different ways. And so I think of him as a radio guy who is also great at TV, but, maybe he would have thought the other way around. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike is awfully proud of what you've been able to accomplish. So, Rob, I'm going to let you get to the combine, both hands on the wheel, go over there. And, like me, they're probably not going to ask you for recommendations, but that's okay. Hey.
No, they won't. That will not be even an issue. No one will even question me about that. But I'll have fun, and it's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward to it. And thanks, as always, for having me on, Steve. Really appreciate it.
By the way, Rob, St. Elmo's or Harry and Izzy's, one of the two. Can't go wrong. Okay?
I've been to St. Elmo's, but Harry and Izzy's. Okay, I'll put that on the radar.
It's right next to St. Elmo's. It's the same ownership. Same great Penn State guy, Craig Holtz's running it, the whole deal. All right?
Okay, you got it, my friend. Thank you.
You bet. Have a safe trip, my friend.
Thanks. See you, Steve.
The great Rob King. Great to have him on the show today. All right, we'll wrap it up in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.